Election betting odds. Boom. Right now, Kamala Harris, 52% chance of winning. Donald Trump, 46.9% chance of winning. Let's just call it 52, 47. So Kamala Harris right now with about a 5 percentage point lead in the latest election betting odds. This is electionbettingodds.com if you want to check this as well. We've been citing this on our show for the entirety of our show going back to January. So a good 8-9 months. And we try to cite the same sites and stay consistent. So a little bit about that. So let's just say 52-47. Now, remember, the debate was Tuesday. We're talking 2-3 days ago. Those odds were essentially flipped before that debate. The last I had looked before the debate, Donald Trump had about a 4-point lead, 4 percentage point lead. Remember, this is not polling. This is the election betting odds. So let's just say it was Trump 52-48 over Kamala Harris. Well, that essentially flipped because of the debate, because of Kamala Harris with a strong performance, Donald Trump obviously with not a very strong performance. And so bing, bang, boom. So when we did the live stream, I remember I was checking it kind of as we were going. And the night of the debate, the last I looked, Harris's betting odds had jumped like 8.5%, whatever it is. So now it's about 9 or so. So it's stabilized, it's improved a little bit. And I think the reason for that, several reasons. First of all, Kamala Harris did win that debate. I think that's pretty clear to most reasonable people. And I've said 5,000 times, I do think ABC News was biased towards Kamala Harris. And that was wrong. I don't think that's the reason that she won the debate and Donald Trump lost, though. I think that whatever it was, 10, 15, 20 minutes in, Kamala Harris took control, took the momentum. Basically, around the time they started talking about abortion. And then, of course, she brings up crowd size. That rattled him. And from there on out, she kind of controlled the debate. So, and I think most people would agree with that. By the way, get your comments in, get your questions in, and I will answer them live. We'll go at least, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, as long as people want to watch. I don't have a ton to report. Not like I'm really going out there and gathering this data, but I like to show it to you all. So there we go. Latest election betting odds. Boom. I'll tell you what, I'll refresh just now, just in case. So you see, maybe it refreshes and it changes. Nope. Same. Sometimes it changes, 1/10 of a point. So 52-47, Kamala Harris, about a 5% lead in the election betting odds. Okay. Let's go to polling. Now, Eric Messersmith, he likes to quote that Nate Silver Bolton. I do as well. Also, you have Real Clear Politics, which has some polling data in there, which, let's be honest, are not as legitimate as others. Rasmussen is the one that comes to mind. Look, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. Rasmussen is not a legitimate poll, and you'll see why that's the case. But also, I think when we're talking about this particular race, it would be silly to quote any polling that happened before the debate, because the debate was this huge event. And obviously, some people's minds were changed. We know it's not a huge percentage, but enough that it did swing the betting odds in Kamala Harris's favor. So I'll read you the latest polling here in a second after I take my sip of water. Okay. So this is Real Clear Politics, and I'll hold it up for you again here. Okay. Real Clear Politics. Boom. If you see basically the average, if you can read that, it's 1.5% or 1.5 points for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. I know that wasn't probably super easy to read, but I'll just go through it here. So again, I think if we're being fair, it doesn't really make sense to cite any polling before the debate. So if you go before the debate, I'm just going to go through a bunch of them. This is going back to August 22nd, polling from August 22nd up through September, I guess, 6th. Rasmussen was done from September 5th, September 11th. Rasmussen is not a legitimate poll. It just is what it is. But okay, go back. So Harris, it was Harris +1, Harris +1, Harris +1, Harris +3. You had a tie for a Pew poll. You had Harris +2, Harris +1. You had another tie. And then you had two good polls from New York Times Siena and then Rasmussen, which is not a legitimate poll. But so Trump there +1 in New York Times Siena, Trump +2 in Rasmussen. But then look above that. So basically, the New York Post poll, which was September 10th and September 11th, remember, the debate was late that night of September 10th. So the New York Post poll has Kamala Harris +3. And I don't know exactly if those folks were polled, some of them before the debate. So I don't know if that's a fair one to cite either. So the reason I titled this live stream, Kamala Harris has 5-point lead over Donald Trump. And by that, I meant the polls, even though right now the betting odds, as I showed you earlier, were also about a 5 percentage point lead for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, 52-47-ish in the betting odds. And remember, that's still an absolute coin flip. So anybody who thinks Kamala Harris is all of a sudden just going to win this election because she had a better debate performance and that flipped the betting odds, that's not the case at all. I mean, Donald Trump very easily could still win this election. And I remember if you go back, Kamala Harris had like a 10 percentage point lead in the betting odds just a couple of weeks ago. And then Donald Trump started to take over a bunch of that momentum. We're talking like right after the DNC, RFK made his announcement that he was going to team up with Trump. And then you started to see all the momentum in the betting odds going towards Donald Trump. And I think he was up again about 4 points in the betting odds basically right before the debate. And so that has flipped. The momentum, the betting odds, the polling has all flipped towards Kamala Harris since Tuesday. So the two, and I'm gonna refresh this right now just so we have up to the second. So the two polls we have that are after the debate, these are the polls that matter the most right now. And look, of course, it's going to change next week, but today's Friday. We're talking about it right now. So the two polls we have after the debate, if you can read that, is Reuters and Morning Consult. So both of those have Harris +5. So Reuters, so again, this polling was September 11th, September 12th, after the debate for Reuters. Harris up 47-42. Morning Consult was just September 11th, day right after the debate. So that was Wednesday. And that was 50-45. So Harris +5. So I think it's pretty fair to say you want to take the polling that's the most recent after the debate. And right now, remember, this is nationally. This doesn't mean Kamala Harris is going to win the presidency. So look, let's just say it's true. Let's say Harris has a 5-point national lead. Remember, this is in the popular vote. Joe Biden won the last election in terms of the popular vote by 4.5. And still, if Donald Trump would have swung the three closest states, it was something like 80,000 votes. If he swings the three closest states, Donald Trump wins the Electoral College. So I would think Kamala Harris has to win the popular vote by at least 3 points, at least 3 to feel, well, I would say she has to win by at least 3 to have a chance to win the election. And it probably has to be 4 or 5 to feel really good about it. Again, Donald Trump almost won in 2020 despite losing the popular vote by 4.5 percentage points. So it's more about where these votes come from. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. If Donald Trump can flip Pennsylvania, very good chance he wins, even if he were to lose the popular vote by 3, 4, hell, even 5 percentage points. That wouldn't be crazy at all. That if Donald Trump gets the votes in the right states, he would still win the election. Okay. My guy Ace continuing to comment. Ace, I can't wait to see polls on Monday. And Ace, one more time. One thing for sure, it is close, my friend. Yes, it is. No doubt. Okay. I'm not going to go super long. Anybody else who has any comments or questions, get them in. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is if we see another debate. And from what we've seen from the Trump camp, at least right now, he's saying that he's not going to do another debate. He says he won. I saw that he put out there on Truth Social. It's like a prize fighter. If somebody else is asking for the debate right away, then they obviously lost. So he's talking about Kamala Harris there. Again, this wasn't like a mercy rule. It wasn't like this was some awful debate that Donald Trump can't bounce back from and can't win the election. But again, most reasonable people, and I showed you the polling where Kamala Harris has a 5-point lead in the two latest polls. I showed you the betting odds where the betting odds flipped from Trump up about 4% to now Harris up about 5%. It's clear that Kamala Harris won the debate, and the latest betting odds and polls reflect that. So I would think it is very smart strategy for Donald Trump to do another debate. And again, I want two more debates. Probably not going to happen, but I want more debates. Look, I don't even care about the strategy as much. I just think it's good for our country to see more debates. But if any candidate strategically shouldn't do another debate, to me, it's probably Kamala Harris. And by the way, I don't want that to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But Kamala Harris won that debate. And going to the next one, Donald Trump could very well win that debate and just pull all that momentum right back into his corner. So to me, look, I want another debate. I want two more debates. I can't wait to watch the VP debate between JD Vance and Tim Walz. But if we're talking about, as George W. Bush said, strategery, I think the candidate that strategically probably shouldn't do another debate is Kamala Harris. Donald Trump needs to do another debate and go out there and have a good performance and put that last memory. When I say last memory, I mean the last debate memory in people's minds could be, look, there's another debate. Donald Trump does really well, and you forget about the debate a month before, whatever it is, where Kamala Harris did well. Okay, let's see. Lynn says he'll only do it if it's Fox and he picks the moderators. I actually think Donald Trump should get more of a hometown debate this time around. He did CNN the first time with Joe Biden. We know how that went. And I thought CNN actually was very fair in that debate. I don't remember. Well, it's funny. I was going to say, I don't remember anybody talking about the moderators, but Joe Biden did so poorly that there was really no other story from that debate other than the fact that Joe Biden had to reboot on stage, and basically the conversation really got ramped up that he needs to step down. He needs to leave this race. So even that debate, you couldn't even focus on the policy points and what Donald Trump said. I think it was so alarming early. Look, we all had seen the senior moments from Joe Biden, but I think it was so alarming early that he just imploded. It was hard for anybody to focus on anything else but that. Anything Joe Biden said afterwards, anything Donald Trump said afterwards, whatever the moderators said, it just didn't matter because the conversation exploded now that Joe Biden needed to step down. So nobody was talking about CNN and any type of bias in that first debate, which is a good thing. Clearly, the talk about ABC News being biased is a huge story, especially on the right. I get it. I do think they were biased. I think they should have fact-checked Kamala Harris on a few things. Also, Donald Trump said some crazy things. I guess you could make the argument that you just want the moderators to totally stay out of it. I get that. Maybe let the two candidates fact check each other. I don't know if you can really do that though with the mics cut off when the other person isn't talking. So I guess in a perfect world, like I don't mind the journalists fact checking. I would actually rather have the candidates fact check each other though. So in that case, you leave the mics open, you let them banter back and forth and argue back and forth, and you probably at some point as moderators would need to jump in and kind of say, "Hey, let her talk, let him talk, but let the two candidates really duke it out there." So, let's see. Lynn says, "I agree, but not Hannity, Waters, or Ingram." And that's who Trump apparently wants. Trump said he didn't want what? Brett Baier and Martha McCollum. So here we go. Lynn says maybe Brett and Harrison. Okay. And Ace is saying, yes, I agree, Lynn. How about that? How about that? Two people coming together and agreeing. That's what we love on this channel. I think we're pretty fair on this channel. And look, if you go back when Trump's been ahead in the odds in the polling, we say it. When Harris is ahead, we say it. Even back when Biden I mean, we started the show in January. Joe Biden was ahead in the polling and the odds way back when. That shows you how crazy this year has been. All right. Any more questions, comments from you guys before I bow out? I just wanted to jump on part of this too. I wanted to test a live stream during the day. Look, a lot of people, it's Friday, but it's lunchtime. People are working. And the other night with our live stream, we got incredible numbers. Huge part of that, obviously, is that the part of it is that the debate is the number one trending topic on earth. But I also think big picture live streams work way better at night. And I think late at night. I'm thinking, because look, if you have kids, dinner, whatever it is, let's say you get the kids down 7:38. I'm thinking, and we're going to do one next week. We'll do one next week that's not after the debate, but our plan is to do a live stream probably after the vice presidential debate. Hopefully, there's another presidential debate. But I want to test a live stream next week on a non-big night. Do one at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and see if and this is Central Time. I live on Central Time. Eric is in California, so he's Pacific time. But we'll do one late at night, and we'll see if we get some good numbers there. All right. I appreciate you guys watching. If you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let us know what you want us to talk about in the future. Next week, I'll tell you what. Lynn asked another question, so let's get it to 20 minutes before I shut her down. Lynn says, "Who do you predict will win the VP debate?" I really don't know. If you ask me right now, I would say it's not going to be a substantial win. I think it'll be relatively fair. I think both those guys talk pretty well on their feet. I've seen some clips of JD Vance when he debated Tim Ryan in Ohio for the Senate. Tim Ryan's like my favorite politician ever, and he lost that Senate race to JD Vance. But I saw some clips from that. So JD Vance is a pretty good debater. I've never seen Tim Walz debate, but I have seen him at all the rallies and whatnot. And I do think he's a very compelling speaker. I mean, he does have that coach, but that's with an audience. So I don't even know. Did we find out these the VP debate, if there's an audience and the cut mics and all that? I'm not really sure. So again, I've never seen Tim Walz debate. If you put a gun to my head, I would say JD Vance probably wins that debate slightly. I don't even know if the VP debate really is going to change any of people's minds. What do you think? I think it was different. To me, it was different when Joe Biden was running and he's super old and he's looking old and sounding old. Then the VP really matters. Kamala Harris is whatever she is. What is she, 60? Donald Trump's old, but he's clearly from a mental acuity standpoint, he wasn't, or he's not even in the same realm as Biden was the last year or so. So I understand you go, okay, if something happens to Trump, you got JD Vance, he's young. If something happens to Kamala Harris, but she's like 60 years old. So I don't know. I'm excited for that one. I think that one could get a little antagonistic. I could see JD Vance going after him. I could see Walz starting on the defensive, but then jumping in there. So I'm going to say a slight victory for JD Vance. How about that?